and Dane Bradshaw.
You mentioned Key running the point, but the luxury Tennessee has, they have so many guys that can bring up the ball.
Here's Plopchich. Vescovy from way deep, and it's an air ball. Dave, what does Vandy want to do on the offensive end?
They've got to spread Tennessee out. They have a lot of shooters, but they can't just settle from three. They don't have a lot of drivers, but they've got to try to penetrate and work inside out to get those open threes.
Shot clock late again. Vandy's had a couple of really late possessions thanks to the #1 defensive team in the country, and it's another shot clock violation.
And just as we were discussing, Vanderbilt operated that entire possession from 30 feet out. They don't have a lot of guys that can blow by you, and Tennessee has such great one-on-one defenders that it makes it really tough to penetrate.
He has to go in and out, and then there's a foul on the rebound.
Good job by Stute there, holding his ground against the bigger opponent and Olivier Kamwa, and picking up a foul on the talented big man.
Tom Hart alongside Dane Bradshaw and Alyssa Lang. We welcome you to Thompson Bowling Arena, where Tennessee, the nation's #1 defensive team by efficiency and #2 by points allowed, is trying to find its offensive flow against a Vanderbilt team that is trying to snap a 10-game head-to-head losing streak. And another challenge at the rim. Santiago Vescovy comes out of there with it.
Well, even when you can penetrate that Tennessee defense, you've got the rim protection down low for the balls you have to worry about.
Slow start for both teams. They combined 1 for 9 from the floor. Tennessee 1 for 4 on a Julian Phillips drive in their first possession. Vescovy splashes down to 3. It's a 5-0 Tennessee lead. Their last SEC home game, they raced out to a 16-0 lead against Mississippi State. Never looked back at one of their 2 blowouts in their last 2 games.
They've been pitching early shutouts, and you're seeing it right now. An empty possession for Vanderbilt on that one with the illegal screen.
Quentin Meloria Brown charged with the foul. Both teams going to go to their bench. Ezra Magnon is going to enter for Vanderbilt. Zakai Ziegler now on the floor along with Toby Owaka for Tennessee. Jonas Adu. Rick Barnes has plenty of depth. Jerry Stackhouse uses his depth in a similar way, because now we see the 7-foot shot blocker Liam Robbins on the floor for the first time.
The early depth for Tennessee, I think, more disciplinary than anything, as Rick Barnes was not happy with the crispness on the offensive end, so he goes to his bench.
Adu against Robbins, interesting matchup. Liam Robbins, one of the best shot blockers in the country. Ziegler gets doubled on his baseline drive, finds Adu, goes right over the top of the 7-footer.
And a great job by Adu, just making himself available as Ziegler got himself in a little bit of trouble.
Tennessee pitching an early shutout. Vandy has missed its first 5. It's simply amazing the way this Tennessee team can impose its will on the defensive end.
This is not a team you want to have to work into a big lead and try to come back from, given their defense.
Robbins gets a deep touch and draws the foul on Julian Phillips. That's his first. 7-0 Tennessee with the lead. Back in a moment.
Welcome back to Thompson Bowling Arena. Tennessee has jumped out to a quick 7-0 lead over their in-state rivals, the Vanderbilt Commodores. And talking to Rick Barnes earlier today at shoot-around about how different this team is from a season ago. We were here towards the beginning of conference play last year when he was pleading with, challenging his team for someone to step up from a leadership standpoint. It's been quite the opposite this year with some of those veteran guys stepping up from the preseason even to now. Santiago Vescovi earlier today telling me that the older guys really take pride in coaching up the young guys this year. It's an element, guys, of confidence and trust that this team has in each other, and you can really tell from the quick starts that this Volunteer team has been off to so far in conference play.
Well, listen, not just quick starts like this 7-0 lead, but also big runs. They're second in the country with 19 runs of 10-0 or better, and they may be on their way to their 20th of the season. Meanwhile, they've only given up one of those runs all season.
And I don't think it could be overlooked that the fact that they're so connected has a lot to do with little roster turnover. Yes, they've gotten some in the transfer portal. Yes, they've had some freshmen, but every single guy on the court right now was here a year ago, including your upperclassmen leaders, your freshmen that become sophomores, and I think that's a huge part of Rick Barnes' success, where you look across the country and so many teams are dealing with massive turnover and doing all these team bonding things in the offseason, try to catch up, whereas Tennessee's has come naturally through all the years these guys have been together.
Liam Robbins knocks down both free throws, 75% from the line. He's a key to this Vanderbilt team on both ends of the floor. He was scoreless in their last matchup last year. Tennessee won both of the head-to-head matchups. Volunteers have won 10 straight in this series.
You see Vanderbilt in that press early. They want to try to kill some clock in the shot clock, make Tennessee play their half-court offense with a dwindling shot clock.
Josiah Jordan-James off the bench. Post touch for Adu. Nice little jump hook, and that's the second time he's gone over the top of Vandy's best defender.
And that's an option they just simply didn't have consistently a year ago. They settled from deep. They did not have that consistent post threat. They're starting to get that with multiple 5-men.
They've got Adu, they've got Plavcic they can roll in there. Comwalk can play some 5. Miles Studi trying to get deep. Normally a 3-point threat. Tried for a 2. Robbins cleans up his miss.
And I like the jumper by Studi. As you mentioned, he's a 3-point shooter, but try to make inside shots, inside rebounds for a guy like Robbins.
Ziegler looks to penetrate back out to Josiah Jordan-James. He's missed some time with a knee injury. That one was halfway home. Came back a couple of games ago against Mississippi State. Vandy had a great performance on the road against Missouri. Ended up falling 85-82 in a back-and-forth game. They were down 11 in the second half, but put together a massive comeback. And Robbins in that game went for 16 and 7 and was perfect from the free throw line. And he'll go back to the line for 2 on the first from Jonas Adu. Or pardon me, they're going to get Vescovi, according to stats maven Joe McNish.
Tom, I had a chance to sit in on the film room with Coach Barnes and his staff and his team, and that's exactly what he didn't want to have happen. He said, if Robbins is going to sit there and take dribble after dribble, you got to get in there and dig with some help early on. And that was just too late from Vescovi.
Barnes with his staff, including Justin Gainey to his right, your left, the new defensive coordinator for this Tennessee team. And they have, not only have they not skipped a beat, they've gotten better. 5 early for Robbins, all 5 for Vandy.
They have no weak link defensively. When they bring in guys, they can hold their own, they can guard their own, and they help each other.
The lob, a little too much over the top of Adu, who got up a little late. Jordan Wright thought about the 3. Back to Magnon. Transfer from UC Davis into Robbins. Off balance. Got his own miss back. And you can see, if you haven't watched Vandy this season, just how valuable Liam Robbins is to the squad.
Well, a good job taking advantage of the switch. Adu and James got switched, so they were guarding the 4 and the 5, not the matchup Tennessee wants down low.
Robbins only plays about 22 minutes a game. Foul trouble has been an issue for him. Not be as good an indicator of anything for Vandy's success, and it's on cue. He commits a foul trying to challenge a shot from James.
Well, this is Robbins going to work down low. You see the smaller defender James, and Adu tries to come help. And Robbins able to really stick with it there, but that all started with the switch. Vanderbilt getting the mismatch.
And so Josiah Jordan-James at the free throw line. He's 9 of 10 from the line this season.
This guy's been such a steady force for this Tennessee team. I was telling somebody earlier, not only what he does on the court, but off the court. I mean, this is the guy that hosts the recruits, takes them around campus, meets with the recruits' parents. He is literally a coach on the floor, but also a coach on the recruiting trail, and has done so many things for this program.
It's like the Dane Bradshaw role.
I only hosted guys that weren't coming from my position.
Oh, you're a 5-star? Yeah, you probably want to go somewhere else. Tennessee led this game 7-0. Vandy fighting back to get into it. Jordan Wright has been on campus for a while now. And he lets this three fly right over the top of Plavsic.
And I like that. Jordan Wright can really be a mismatch nightmare, especially if you got a big man on him.
Vandy is closed within 1 after trailing by 7 early and struggling on the offensive end.
This is Tennessee's favorite play. They love to run this baseline screen action money.
Mashack almost got his pocket pick. Shot clock's at 8. Ziegler spins it in. Plavsic banks it in, and that is the 3rd bucket that Robbins has given up.
That's a really strong take by Plavsic. He can usually overpower guys, but able to score through 7 feet 250 on that one.
Robbins collects his miss and then draws the foul on a push from Plavsic. This is a game that Tennessee won at Vandy last year, but it didn't come out without some chippiness. Both Plavsic and Vescovi picked up technicals in that one.
Yeah, really physical play. I joked earlier with Coach Stackhouse. Miles Studi for Vanderbilt likes to talk a little trash. Plavsic, I said, I'm predicting a double technical on those two. He said, I want to take the under on that. So it's a personal game for these two rivals.
Robbins has been the offensive producer tonight for Vandy. He's got 8 of their 11. Fellow senior Jordan Wright has a lone other bucket with that 3. 9 already for Liam Robbins.
Gotta love the way Vanderbilt bounced back from an early struggle offensively, and here they are getting set up in their press. They'd really like to take more time off the clock than that right there. That's just too easy for Tennessee to get across half court.
Robbins takes a seat now as Mallory Brown replaces him. Interesting how Stackhouse uses his rotations, and the value per minute of Robbins may be the greatest in the league. The issue there is that he's only playing 22 minutes a game.
And they'll play him in spurts, and he goes hard when he's in there. And they give him 2 different options. Mallory Brown, a little bit more speed on the perimeter, more of a screener than a post-up option. They want Robbins to stay fresh because there's a lot of depth on Tennessee's inside.
Here's Ziegler. Draws a lot of attention, doesn't he?
He dribbles out of traffic really well. Vanderbilt thinks they can double the little guy at times, though. See if the double comes here.
Indeed, Mallory Brown way out on it. Somebody's open. It ends up being Plavsic who converts. And they'll say, let's take a look at it. But you thought it was going to be Kamwa the way he made that drive down the lane. And then the defender had to take 1 step towards Kamwa and left Plavsic open. We'll take a look and see if it beat the clock.
Great job by Ziegler, just snaking through that defensive trap and gets the big man the bucket. Looked like it was in time. Good job going up quickly.
(13-12), Tennessee with the lead. We'll recap that one after we step away for this timeout. Let's take a look at some SEC news and notes. A stunner coming from Rupp Arena, where South Carolina won for the first time in 8 tries in the last 40 years. It's the first Kentucky team to lose to an opponent who had lost its previous game by at least 30. Remember that South Carolina team lost at home to Tennessee 85-42. What is the lasting impact of that Kentucky home loss tonight?
Well, I think the fact that we give so much attention to Kentucky's offensive woes, but their defense is a mess right now too. We started to see it trend that way towards the end of the calendar year, and then they go to LSU, get a win, but give them some points there. Alabama certainly goes to work on them. And then a South Carolina team that really struggles offensively. They're not able to keep up with them. And boy, it's going to take some true leadership from that coaching staff and inside that locker room to keep your focus on the process and not let the outside noise just completely make for a toxic program right now.
It's not just a bad loss visually, it's a bad loss mathematically come Selection Sunday. That's a South Carolina team that had a net of 263 coming in. Credit to Michi Johnson, who went for 26 points, hit 6 threes. It's the first Gamecock to go 26, 5 boards, 5 assists or more since Sedarius Thornwell in 2017. Great performance by Michi.
Here's Vescovy going to contest that. He goes from point A to point B. I think they wanted them to look at the kick out, but certainly a foul on Tennessee.
That's his second.
To wrap up that point on South Carolina, I know the story is going to be Coach Calipari and the Wildcats losing, but hats off to Lamont Paris. When you take a beating the way you did against Tennessee and to have your team ready to play on the road at Rupp, job well done there.
Oh, Shelby got another one coming. Freshman out of McKinney, Texas. 3-point shooting foul. He's from Green Hill School. High school teammate Lee Dort. Their family goes back long ways. That's a couple of top recruits on Jerry Stackhouse's roster. Quick double. And near Tennessee turnover. Come on, one ready. Volunteers have gotten hot on the offensive end. They've hit 5 of their last 6. Camo's made his last 15. See if he wants to test that run. Gives it up. And Phillips. And one.
That is such a veteran play by the freshman Phillips. Kamwa gets stuck in the air. Everybody else on the team is standing except Two and White. Check out where Two and White comes from. He keeps cutting because he knows he's either going to get that offensive rebound or he's going to get rewarded by his big man. Terrific find by Kamwa, but it doesn't happen without the heads-up play by Phillips.
Old-fashioned three-point play for the freshman from Blythewood, South Carolina. What makes Tennessee's half-court defense so good?
The ball pressure, the physicality, and their ability to guard at every single position, and they'll switch if they have to. But I like this matchup for Vanderbilt. I think Jordan Wright, he's a guy that can post your guards or take your bigs off the bounce. He's one of those tweeners that can be effective at either.
Gets 10 points a game. He's a veteran. Product out of Baton Rouge, Dunham School. Lob. Plavsic brings it down and turns it into a three-point chance.
Tennessee is so crisp on the offensive end. That time Tyreek Key comes hard off that curl, realizes there's some help uphill, and he says, oh, if you're going to come help uphill, I know my big man's open. They're just a well-oiled machine right now. And when you got multiple point guards on the court at one time, I mean, Tyreek Key started this game at point guard, and now you move him off the ball, yet you still have that high IQ, good passer at the 2-guard spot.
Back-to-back three-point plays for Tennessee. Plavsic converts. Robbins back in after a 2-minute rest. Excuse me.
Well, yeah, I think Coach Stackhouse saw enough of the and-one paint points that typically don't happen when Robbins is in the game.
Vandy had tied it at 15 before the Tennessee 6-0 run. Magnon working on Ziegler. Rebound by Kamwa.
Well done by Ziegler. Magnon wants to get all the way to the basket. You want to force him to pull up to that mid-range.
Plavsic deep. That's a first miss that Robbins has forced in one-on-one defense tonight. And he'll fire a 3. Phillips up high for the rebound.
Coach Stackhouse will let Robbins take those, but he's got to start making them on a more consistent basis if he's going to get those open looks.
4 for 24 in the season. They'll probably keep giving them open looks.
He's got a good stroke, though. It's just he's got to see one or two go in before the defense is going to respect it.
Ziegler to Key. Stroke. First bucket of the night for transfer out of Indiana State. Former Sycamore has 3, and it's the largest lead of the night for Tennessee.
He is a natural-born scorer. Hadn't really gotten off yet offensively in this season, but his best is yet to come offensively.
4 minutes without a bucket for Vandy in this 9-0 Tennessee run. Vandy and Sogno.
You got to make those if you're Vanderbilt. Rarely does Tennessee gamble that time they got it. I think the pressure of Tennessee, when you do get open, you rush it.
Tennessee with the corner 3. Jordan Wright with the rebound, and we got a wedgie on the lob, and that'll turn into a jump ball. The last time you saw a wedgie on a lob?
That's usually me when I tried to dunk in the day. It was that close, almost above the rim. I mean, really a good pass, a really difficult catch too, going full speed. That would have been a heck of a play, and just got a little bit sped up.
Don Daly took it to the possession arrow. Will stay with Vandy.
I really like this baseline out of bounds defense by Tennessee. They put Adu on the man taking it out with all that, and then they'll switch some on the perimeter, try to catch a steal.
Robin slips, kicks. They get an extra pass for 3, and that's good from Noah Shelby.
He comes in ready to shoot.
Yeah.
He doesn't take a warm-up, run up and down the court. He feels like he's hot as soon as he steps in the building.
Shelby made his first 2. Still hadn't made a 2. There's 3 free throws. He hasn't made a 2 all season. He's 0 for 1 from 2, and he's made 11 buckets from 3.
Well, you love the confidence he plays with. In that Missouri game, he took a couple from Steph Curry range where Coach Stackhouse said, hey, toe the line a little bit more, all right? You don't have to shoot them from that deep. You don't practice them from that deep, but you got the green light otherwise.
Tennessee shooting 60% from the floor. They shot 69% against Mississippi State 2 games ago. That was the 4th best shooting performance in school history, and Josiah Jordan-James at the 15-footer.
Such a smart Tennessee team. Vanderbilt mixes it up, goes 1-3-1. They say, no problem. We'll get it to our point forward wing / do whatever. Josiah Jordan-James right in the heart of it. Makes his bucket.
Robbins gets a touch. And he buries it.
Boy, that is a tough shot. Just a turnaround, contested jumper.
It's 11 points in 7 minutes for Liam Robbins. Started his career at Drake, in Minnesota, and now with Vandy, and finally healthy. Ziegler up the curl, the lob, and Robbins picks up the foul. Can't believe it. He thought he went straight up. That'll be his 2nd here in the first half. Hey, Stackhouse looking for a replay. Volunteers lead by 6 and may have just lost his best player on both ends to a ticky-tack foul. All right, PB, thanks. You know, of note, John Calipari is now 214-3 when his teams are 17-point favorite or better. Those 3 losses coming in the last 3 years to St. Peter's in the tournament, into Evansville in 2019, and they're a heavy favorite tonight against South Carolina.
And pretty much any college basketball fan will always remember those massive upsets. Certainly the St. Peter's. Evansville won, maybe not as much. It didn't turn out to be as significant, and we'll see how significant this loss to South Carolina becomes.
Jonas Adu at the free throw line, 69% on this season. What a year he's having, huh? Coming off of a 15-point performance on the road against South Carolina. Here's a guy that picked up his playing time late in the season after the Olivier Kamwa ankle injury. And those minutes incredibly valuable in his growth to become what he is now, a 5-and-5 guy, giving him 20 minutes a night.
Sort of a glimpse of what he could become last year against Kentucky. Played really well against Oscar Tshiebwe, and now has just taken another big step forward.
Here's Shelby for 3. He is feeling it. You mentioned that he's doesn't have much of a conscience when he's on the offensive end, huh?
Yeah, they set what we call an elevator screen there, and he had his heel over the out-of-bounds line there on the sideline.
James answers over the top of the freshman standout Lee Dort, who's on the floor for the first time since December 30th.
And that's 11 assists on 11 made baskets for Tennessee. You will not win that way against the Vols if they keep sharing the ball without some denials and make them play some more one-on-one basketball.
Shelby picks it up after it went off key. What can we expect to see from 34 Lee Dort? Well, here's another three.
He's a shot blocker. He's still a little bit raw, and he hadn't gotten a lot of playing time. But right now, he's just got to bring the fight to Tennessee and don't get punked down low, and I think he can do that.
He does not have a freshman's build, does he?
Not at all.
Ziegler had it stripped on his way in. He'll stay with Tennessee with 14 on the shot clock.
A little bit better job there by Vanderbilt. But right now, Tennessee's getting ball reversals. They're coming off screens. And I think they just got to jump passing lanes a little bit more if you're Vanderbilt, because Tennessee is at their best with the quick passes and less dribbling, and that's exactly what they're getting right now. Here comes a lob for Conway. Good defense.
Started from Oak Ridge. Here's Key. Off the mark. That's the Secret City, by the way, in case you didn't know that, Dane.
Big Eds.
That's right. Here's Adu inside. It's rejected. You had a scouting report on Dort. He sends that one the opposite way. Shelby wanted to fire. Studi. He got a piece of it. Shelby again.
And he's talking to the bench. I love this freshman's confidence. It can get him in trouble at times, but it's got him in Stackhouse's favor now.
Kamwa missed the layup, gets it back out to James. Took a long trip around.
I'm running a play for two if I'm Coach Stackhouse.
Maybe he doesn't need a play. Just give him a touch. Hiding in the left corner. Dort with 7 on the shot clock. Got Kamwa leaning and is able to finish.
And a great feel there. I mean, he absorbed the contact and then spun off of it. Really nice touch. Making the most of his opportunity here.
Hadn't played this calendar year. 4-star recruit. The top-rated recruits of the Stackhouse era. Stolen away by Trey Thomas in his 7th consecutive start tonight. Ziegler's able to move his feet and pick up the foul.
Well, that's how you stop the ball in transition, is how Kai Ziegler did there, and that's easier said than done when you got a really good point guard, Thomas, bring the ball up the court here. I thought this might have been a block, but the ref saw otherwise and reward such a terrific defender in Ziegler.
17 foul against Vandy. He'll be shooting next time. Ziegler rolls it in, his first bucket.
And if Vanderbilt's going to be in that drop coverage right there a little bit, that's going to be open as long as you run your man into the screen. Good read.
Vandy's picked it up on the offensive end. Doors have made 5 of their last 7. Half of their makes have been from deep. Shelby has 3 of those. Shelby guarded by Key. Can't get it to him. Ziegler interrupts. That was a heave, and I think when Colin Smith looked up, he saw 7 on the shot clock and thought it was a 1. Adu for 3. Tennessee with an offensive rebound, one of the best in the country. In fact, they're second in the country in second chance points.
And I think why they get that, Tom, is because they take shots within their offense. Everybody's in position.
Thomas had Studi, took it himself. Whoa, there's the freshman Dort, who now has a career high with his 2nd bucket, making an impact tonight in his first ever SEC game.
How about that? Trailing the play, and watch out on your dome.
Ziegler dishes, Adu finishes.
Oh, man, you talk about getting up high above the rim. Adu's playing with supreme confidence right now.
Vandy had tied it at 15. Tennessee went on an 8-0 run. Vandy pulled within 3. Volunteers threatening to keep them at bay. Quick hands by James. There'll be 11 seconds left on the shot clock. This side out of bounds when we return. How about the impact above the rim? The freshman Lee Dort.
Well, two big guys here going to trade dunks. First it's Dort, and then there's Adu on the other end that says, I don't skip leg day either, big fella. Up top.
Up at half, we'll show you a huge upset in Rupp Arena. Also, Ole Miss Auburn update. Patrick, what are you seeing in this one?
I see 12 assists on 13 made baskets for Tennessee, but the Vanderbilt bench has something to say about that.
Now that's teamwork. Tom Hart, how many assists do you think you've given Dane Bradshaw over the years?
It's a great question, Pat. I think my assist rate tonight is somewhere around 43%. I'm sharing the ball. We got Alyssa in the house, so I got a couple of shooters out here I got to keep happy.
Well, I can't get the ball past me much when he lacks so much confidence. And when we were driving around, and I took you down the wrong way on a one-way on campus.
Yeah, twice. The last two times you've driven us on campus.
Well, it did used to be a one-way on.
And then you took us down a closed road today on our way to. Maybe you shouldn't be driving.
It was temporarily closed. All right. I shouldn't be driving, but Lord knows I can't ride with you.
Vandy has seen kind of a coming-out party for Lee Dort tonight with Liam Robbins on the bench with 2 early fouls. Jerry Stackhouse is not a believer in 2-foul participation, just 11% of the season. That has him 277th among Division I coaches. You pick up your second foul in the first, more often than not, you're going to go sit. And Dort has taken advantage. Another late possession and then balance lost by Miles Studi, and the result is a foul, a 1-on-1 coming on the other end. Vandy as a team, Dane, 254th in tempo, so they're going to use some clock, but it makes it even that much more difficult when you're going against the #1 defensive efficiency team in the country.
It is, and they run a lot of sets, and they run a lot of screens, dribble handoffs, and the way Tennessee is so aggressive, they blow those things up, so it makes it really difficult for Vanderbilt to get an opening off of those screens. Although that time I thought Magnon settled a little bit. He could have kicked it back to Studi to shoot over the smaller defenders equally.
Speaking of the stuff that they run, Rick Barnes was just raving about Jerry Stackhouse as a coach today. That the sets that they run on the offensive end, NBA level quality.
Especially after timeouts, they're terrific. Late game stuff, they're great. And this is a team that went on the road to Missouri and had chances to win that game, missed some open looks, some free throws, and that's against the Missouri Tigers, sold-out stadium, one of the hottest teams in the country, and the Commodores were right there.
Jamal Meshack commits a foul, his first. The lob to Dort, and Meshack tried to hammer it away. Good pass by the freshman, and he follows up the miss.
Well, Meshack tried to be everywhere on that play. He tried to get the steal, then he recovered.
Oh, a hammer the other way. Julian Phillips cocked it all the way back.
That's when you shut down the hoop in the pickup game. It's over. Get your bags, your keys, everybody go home.
Late night tip here on Rocky Top. That woke some folks up. Magnon with the lob, and he just threw it in. Ezra Magnon started his career at UC Davis. He had 24 in the South Carolina game to open conference play right around Christmas.
Tennessee scoring the ball, but they've forgotten what has made them a top 10 team in the country. It's their defense. Vanderbilt scoring way more than the average opponent, especially recently in SEC play.
Put up 34 points already here in this first half. Tennessee's only allowed 52.5 points per game on average. Meshack, no. Miss. The reason this game is being played above the rim, we already have 5 dunks here in the first 19 minutes. Ziegler on Magnon. Shot clock at 4. Ziegler heaves it and puts up an air ball. Under a minute to play. Jerry Stackhouse with the play call from the Vandy bench. Lawrence looking for a screen. Dort, the freshman, Little League getting over there. Studi step back. 3 ball good. And we've got a tie game with 29 seconds left in the half. first 3 of the night for Miles Stute, their best shooter.
I love that decision by Stute. He's basically a guard that can play the 4 for Vanderbilt. When he gets the big man on him, he realizes, wait a minute, let me show you my guard game here. He's a catch and stick guy, but he can deck it a little bit too. That time he forces Kamwa to move his feet. All he needs is a little window, and that time he's got to go through.
Vandy is used to close games. They're 3-2 in games decided by 3 points or less, but dropped one at Missouri last time out. That game had 11 ties and 7 lead changes. This game is tied for the second time. It was also knocked at 15 apiece.
They've handled Tennessee's pressure extremely well. Tennessee thrives off turning you over, getting points off of those turnovers, but Vanderbilt with only 3 thus far.
Yeah, Tennessee gets nearly 21 points a game off turnovers, only 4 in the first half. This lack of turnovers has allowed Vandy to put 37 on the board despite shooting 40%. Shot clock off. Ziegler has it, guarded by Magnon.
Interesting late clock situation. We asked Coach Barnes today, if you don't really have a guy that just breaks the defense down one-on-one, what do you call late clock? He goes, well, we can run some plays that have multiple options, and you see a lot of offensive threats on the court right now.
I certainly love to have the ball in Ziegler's hands. Now at 8, he'll go. Working on Dort, gets it inside. Kamwa has it stripped. 4 seconds on the clock. Vandy has a chance to take its first lead with 1. The layup is good. Does it count? They say yes, and they'll check it. If it stands, it's the first lead of the game for Vanderbilt. Coming on an end-to-end run after the defensive stop.
Wow, momentum Vanderbilt. How about Jordan Wright, coast to coast? You turn it over for Tennessee, you don't stop the ball.
It's a 7-0 run for Vandy with Jerry Stackhouse. Here's Alyssa Lang.
Comes back and takes the lead going into half. What do you need to see more of in the second half?
Yeah, we just got to keep playing with plays, keep playing with pace, playing with toughness. And our bigs got in some foul trouble there. Lee Dort came in and gave us some big minutes. Our freshman was huge in that first half. Noah Shelby as well. Bought us some time. Hopefully we get those guys back involved in the second half.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
39-37. Vandy ends the half on a 7-0 run. Let's get you to the studio. The 3 Ps, PB, PY, PB, gentlemen.
That is
from Thompson Bowling Arena. Vanderbilt trying to snap a 10-game losing streak to Tennessee in the doors with a 2-point lead on the road against the 5th-ranked Volunteers as we get ready to start the second half. Welcome back, everybody. Alongside Dane Bradshaw and Alyssa Lang, I'm Tom Hart. Let's waste no time. Let's get to the All-State Mayhem moment. And all started with Vandy's bigs doing some damage.
You want to be able to establish yourself down low, and Liam Robbins, the 7-footer, did just that. He brought the fight to Tennessee in the paint with 11 crucial points in that first half, as you see him here going to work on the offensive glass, but it was not just Robbins. How do you win a big game on the road? How about some freshmen who've never been here before? Said nobody ever. Noah Shelby stepped up huge with 3 triples in that one. And then you got Lee Dort coming in, making a huge impact. Has not played recently at all, but as Robbins got in foul trouble, that freshman also stepped up big. And Vanderbilt with a ton of momentum going into half.
Alyssa, what was Rick Barnes' mood at halftime?
He was not happy, guys. He really laid into his team at the break. He said, I emphasize the fact that our guys are playing outside of themselves. Our older guys are over-helping, trying to do too much. They're not following the scouting report. He said that Jordan Wright coast-to-coast layup for Vanderbilt to take the lead was the most embarrassing play he's seen in his entire time here as the head coach at Tennessee. He said, give Vanderbilt credit, but we're giving them too many points and too many opportunities by playing outside of ourselves and being sloppy on the boards. He really lit his team up, guys.
5 steals for Vanderbilt, none for Tennessee, and 13 second chance points for Vandy, none for Tennessee. Jordan Wright buzzer beater going coast to coast gave Vandy its first lead of the game. Tennessee with possession to start the second half. And a turnover right off the bat, and Rick Barnes and his staff just put their head in their hands as soon as that occurred.
Frustrated, but the offense really isn't what had them trailing at halftime. It was on this end of the court that they must fix.
Trying to get a look inside, but it's knocked away by Kamwa.
Their first steal of the game.
He left it short and followed his own miss.
And that's such a big stat for Vanderbilt and against Tennessee. Tennessee 4th best in the country according to Ken Palm at those live ball turnovers with the steals.
Liam Robbins starting the second half. They go inside to right again. Back out to the 7-footer. In and out. He's now 0 for 2 from deep.
See, I like Wright bringing Kamwa out on the perimeter more instead of banging with the big man down low. That's not where he has the advantage.
Wright's been shooting the ball awfully well from deep last couple of games. Phillips got traffic, and that's on Robbins. It's his 3rd, trying to cut down the lane. Instead, it'll go on Jordan Wright, and that's a 2nd on Wright. Robbins' 2nd was a borderline call that cost him some minutes in the first half.
The activity and movement on that play by Julian Phillips. He makes you work, as do all these Tennessee players. He came off one curl screen. They didn't get it to him, so he came off another one. You have to continue to keep moving and staying attached if you're Vanderbilt.
Julian Phillips knocks the first down. All-tournament team at Atlantis. Tennessee won that. Really shut down Kansas in the championship game. Phillips 2 for 2. It's a Tennessee team that has won 8 games already by 30 points or more, and they've got their hands full with a Vanderbilt team that's just 8 and 7. Contested layup. Phillips went up to challenge it. Here's Vescovi with a push. Studi is charged with the foul. At 35 feet from the hoop, it's his 2nd. Tennessee got off to a blitzing start, led this game 7-0 before Vandy was able to go on a run and then take the lead late in the first half. Vandy also put together a nice run, 17-3 in the second half of the Missouri game. Get back in that one. Another layup short. Placic with the rebound. That is such a concern for Rick Barnes that they have taped up the top of the square on the backboard during practice, putting red tape at the very top of it. An idea that they got when they went on the road to Arizona. We'll see multiple layups come up short for the Vols tonight. Here's Wright out front. Ball fake, got Kama in the air. How did not count that? That had to be basket interference.
That has to be. Jerry Stackhouse, he's known to get some technicals. He deserves one to get one here.
There are times where they don't have to call basket interference if you're attempting to block the shot. That was not an attempt to block the shot. That was a run through, and he pulled the entire standard.
The goal is shaking. And you're right, it could be a judgment call if you slap the backboard and it didn't affect the shot too much. But to me, man, that's 2 points Vanderbilt.
Well, let's see if ball don't lie in the end. And in a game that's been tight throughout, one bucket could make a huge difference.
If I'm Coach Stackhouse, I'm telling Liam Robbins to go hang on the rim next drive on this end of the court.
Phillips got a half step on Studi, got it to go.
I love the aggressiveness Phillips is playing with. He's been a little bit passive at times, but Tennessee is running action for him.
4-point Tennessee lead. Diehards getting on their feet here at Thompson Bowling. Vandy looking for its first bucket of the half. Ezra Magnon from the baseline, short. It's a 6-0 Tennessee run, trying to add to it. Phillips feeling confident.
Well, with Phillips at the 3, he has the size advantage. They got to keep getting him the ball down low.
That's a key. Give Vescovi the assist.
You just got to be so frustrated with your coach Stackhouse when you don't get the goaltend call and then you get 5 straight points run on you on the other end. Becomes a pretty big swing.
All 9 points scored this half belong to Tennessee. Then Studi with the shove on Vescovi. And it's the second personal on Studi this half.
A couple of frustration fouls from Studi that he just made it too easy on the official. He had the slap of the wrist at the, half-court mark a couple plays ago, and then that time just a clear push-off. Coach Stackhouse talked about how he needed his veterans to be his smartest players, especially on the road. It wasn't the case at Missouri, and right now, Studi's got to be smarter for him in this game.
Vescovi gets doubled, steps through, finds Adu. And an offensive foul against Tennessee's big. That's his first. We got a timeout on the floor. Tennessee has scored all 9 this half.
Adu coming down the lane, but Magnon stepping in there strong, taking a big charge for the Commodores.
Vanderbilt 9-0 here in the second half. Tom Hart, Dane Bradshaw, Lissa Lang in the house tonight. Hey, special congratulations, our buddy Jimmy Hyams, who announced today that he's going to retire after like a 7-decade year in local media.
Yeah. Congratulations to Jimmy Hyams, sad day for radio. Local legend.
Yeah,
I got to sit in on Sports Animal some with he and John Wilkerson. He's done a terrific job covering the Vols for many, many years.
And more before that, he was a sports editor, just 13 years old, and he'll be hanging up the mic in March. More time to kayak, play golf, play pickleball, maybe try out that gumbo. And he's seen this version of Tennessee win 24 consecutive games at home. They've won 10 straight games overall against Vanderbilt. But this Vandy team really giving Rick Barnes and his squad, 5th-ranked team in the country, all they can ask for. You said when we were here a week ago that you thought the schedule set up in a way, especially with a lot of upsets in college basketball, that Tennessee could be on their way to being the #1 ranked team in the country.
I do. I think by the time the Big 12 Challenge occurs and Texas is here, I think that could be on the line just because of the scheduling reasons. And think back a year ago as Auburn won the SEC championship. You know, a lot of it has to do with who you play, when you play them, and where you play them. And I think Tennessee has a pretty favorable conference schedule, not just in January, but all the way through.
They get past this pesky Vandy team tonight. Kai Ziegler left alone for 3. Volunteers on a 12-2 run this half. Now, Vandy has been pesky against ranked Tennessee teams. The last 25 matchups for Vandy was unranked, and Tennessee had a top 25 team. Vandy bucked the trend and won 7 of those. Here's Lawrence from the corner.
You see that lockdown defense starting to happen for Tennessee now in this second half. They have gotten the message from Rick Barnes.
Quick feed into Kamwa. He gets fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line. That's the 3rd on Jordan Wright. Olivia Kamwa 0 for 2 to start this game. That ends a run of 15 consecutive makes, coming off of a double-double against South Carolina, 21-10.
This is an interesting lineup for both parties here. I mean, you've got Kamwa, who takes advantage of his height and mismatch down low on Wright. Wright has to make that catch more difficult, can't let him get so deep. Yet on the other end, Vanderbilt can spread out this really tall lineup for Tennessee, make the big guys come out on the perimeter.
Kamwa splashes them both down. Tennessee back out to a double-digit lead, largest lead of the game. Commodores 1 for 7 this half. They got off to a slow start in the first half. Wright for 3, barely found the rim.
I just think you can make him guard a little bit. When Studi was able to get the opening from 3, he took Kamwa off the bounce with a little step back.
Ziegler, great ball fake. Lawrence recovers and pick up Vescovi. Nearly a throwaway. Ziegler. Rebound brought down by Phillips. Kept a dribble on his way down, and a shot clock violation or a timeout. If Tennessee got the timeout before it hit 0 in red, it's a Tennessee turnover and a shot clock violation.
Terrific defensive possession by Vanderbilt there. They got some deflections. They forced Ziegler to go in there off balance, throw up a high floater runner off the glass, and then battled hard enough for that offensive rebound, or defensive rebound, I should say, leading to the shot clock violation.
Consider how good the sets are that Vanderbilt runs and see what Horns down will bring for Jerry Stackhouse's team here. Needing a bucket, down 10. Looking for Robbins into the corner. Robbins had a hand on the rebound but couldn't contain it.
They run a good set, but Tennessee again fights through screens so hard that they are not fazed by a single screen for Vanderbilt in that half-court set.
Colin Smith back on the floor to replace Jordan Wright for Vandy. Josiah Jordan-James returns for Tennessee.
This is what I love about the versatility of Tennessee's bench. You bring Josiah Jordan-James in, and he and Phillips can play the 3 or the 4, and you get a whole different type of lineup that you can create with more shooters.
Two of the highest scoring benches in the SEC. James for 3. Tennessee's bench gives him 26 points a game. Smith, the freshman, cut off by Ziegler. Vandy's bench scores 31 a game. Smith still looking for his first bucket. What a rebound by Robbins. And he draws a foul on Adu on his way back up. Liam Robbins is having a coming out party this season for Vanderbilt, getting 13 and 6. The guy who led the Big Ten in blocks when he was at Minnesota. They went right into Adu.
And that's after a really tough one-handed rebound. He just battles down low. Such a huge body, 250 pounds, just muscles you, and great hands.
Smaller body than it was for Liam Robbins when he was at Assumption High School in Davenport, Iowa. He was a 300-pounder at high school. Went to Sunrise Christian Academy in Kansas because he had 0 Division I offers. That turned into an offer to go back to Iowa and play at Drake, and he was a pretty good player for 2 years at Drake. Good enough that a guy who grew up a Big Ten fan and a fan of the Wisconsin Badgers had a chance to go play for Richard Pitino in Minnesota. That lasted a year. Pitino got fired, and lo and behold, he ends up at Vanderbilt, now finally healthy in his second year at Vandy.
Part of that story was following his uncle, Ed Conroy, who was on that Minnesota staff. And Ed Conroy gets picked up by Stackhouse and says, hey, guess what? My nephew's pretty good, too. I think he might join me.
Yeah, I got a 7-foot nephew. Can he come down with me from the Twin Cities?
And now Ed Conroy, head coach at the Citadel, he wasn't able to bring Robbins with him to that.
He wasn't. Conroy family has a history down there, don't they? Challenge 3 from the corner. And it was tipped, but the officials didn't see it. Wasn't that shot blocked?
Yeah. Sure looked like it from here.
Maybe like the Ghetto Boys, my eyes are playing tricks on me. Was that part of the rap history you guys went over with Stack and shoot around today?
That was slightly before my time, but I really like the reference.
Accurate would be my mind, but I lost that a long time ago. Great defense by Ziegler. Here's Robbins to bail him out. And Ziegler tried to pick his pocket, but reached in. And that is the third on Zakai Ziegler. And chippy, that's what you'd expect between these two, whose series dates to 1922. No, first half for Vanderbilt, they shot 42% from the floor. They used a late run to get back in the game, then an end-to-end bucket to take the lead. Second half, just 4 points, 1 of 11 shooting. Should have had one more on a basket interference. It wasn't called. Who knows if one bucket makes a big difference tonight.
Yeah, but Tennessee got the message at halftime. They got back to themselves and their identity, which is on the defensive end. You see where they rank nationally. This might be the best defensive team Rick Barnes has not only had at Tennessee, but ever in his career. But what can happen as you get your offensive confidence going, then you let up a little bit defensively, because every time somebody scores, it doesn't hurt his back. He's like, oh, we can get that back. We're shooting the ball well. And so I think that happened a little bit in the first half, where Tennessee is starting to get some of that offensive confidence the past couple games. But credit the Commodores. I mean, these guys have come out ready to play. but Tennessee has certainly buckled down defensively in the second half.
Did you think you would see a game between these two where Vandy would have more points off turnovers than Tennessee?
No, I did not. And they're well prepared. And Coach Stackhouse felt like they were ready for this matchup. They thought they could do a few things that would bother Tennessee, both offensively and defensively.
Alyssa, what do you got on the Volunteers?
Yeah, Dane was just talking about Tennessee stepping up their game defensively. That's basically what was just talked about in the Tennessee huddle. Coaches looking at players in the eyes and saying, wear them down. You have a 10-point lead, wear them down defensively. Josiah Jordan-James and Uroš Plavšić emphasizing the same thing to their teammates. Guys, we got to play good defense, put a couple of big stops together, and we can put this thing away down the stretch.
They're certainly capable of that, but as far as the wear them down aspect of it, this is a Vanderbilt team that's deeper than most. Jerry Stackhouse plays a lot of guys just about even minutes, and while that can give him some inconsistency, especially on the offensive end, that can give him a lot of bodies out there. Shot clock late. Thomas beat the buzzer. First bucket of the night for Trey Thomas. That's a huge three for Vandy.
And I think this is the best three-point shooting lineup Vanderbilt has. When you look at the perimeter guys for them right now, and that's where they're going to have to get some of their points.
Vescovy open after the screen. Shooter's touch.
Coach Stackhouse can only shake his head over there. Good defense, contested shot.
Stackhouse has a long history with Rick Barnes as a player for Dean Smith. Faced off with Barnes' first Clemson team 3 times that one season. North Carolina top 5 all year, won all 3 of those matchups. They were loaded with pros, including Stack, 17,000-point score in the NBA. Rick Barnes said, I loved Jerry Stackhouse as a player. He had some plays against us that caused me to look at my assistants and just say, wow, including one. He said he took it from about the tee in the Tennessee logo, 2 steps, 1 dribble, threw down a reverse dunk against us. Out of bounds will be Vanderbilt basketball.
Going back to your point about Tennessee wanting to wear Vanderbilt down, you make a great one. Vanderbilt has depth. I don't think fatigue's going to be a factor. Tennessee is more physical. To me, it's Tennessee, you've got to get consecutive stops, keep extending this lead, because I think it's the mental fatigue as well, where Vanderbilt's just not built to come back from big-time double-digit deficits.
Defensive pressure results in a bad entry pass. Melora Brown lost his footing. Ball fake, pass, another pass, right back to Josiah Jordan-James. Plavšić battles, gets it, and snaps it home. Advantage Uroš Plavšić inside against Melora Brown. Three-ball Trey Thomas skips off.
We've been saying that for 4 years.
12-point Tennessee lead. Vandy getting the clamps, put him on the defensive end. Vescovy went down hard. He's still on the ground. On the other end, 5-on-4 and a rush 3. And now they'll stop with Tennessee getting possession of Vescovy under the opposite basket. Did he hit his head on the floor? It certainly sounded like it, although I didn't see it.
Pretty strong collision there.
Vescovy left side of the screen, number 25. And he caught an elbow from Plavšić. That was a big, heavy elbow.
Yeah, trying to sneak in for that offensive rebound, but you don't want to get in the way of that. But what a tough kid. He doesn't want to come out of this game.
And he won't come out of the game. They tried to get the freshman Julian Phillips in for him, and Vescovy just kind of waved him off. Maybe Kamwa, too strong.
He had the high-low look to Adu. I think sometimes Kamwa gets in that awkward spot where he's shooting a jump shot about 4 feet away. I think he can just keep going with that shoulder, get the angle, and finish at the glass.
Adu commits his third as Robbins hustled down the floor to get post position. Vandy hasn't made a bucket, 2:43. Here's Thomas off the inbounds. Vandy needed that one.
Yeah, it was a great look, well executed play.
Vescovy with the run out.
And that's where it just kills you if you're Vanderbilt. A 5-point swing as you got an open three for one of your best three-point shooters. And oftentimes that corner missed three leads to transition buckets.
Good cut by Ezra Magnon, the senior out of Antioch, California, Bay Area guy who was the Big West Freshman of the Year, his first year at UC Davis. Vescovy's playing with a clear head, probably out there thinking more pumpernickel than plays. Shot clock at 2. Wow, beautiful.
He's really good with that. He's got a little bit of a fadeaway, that 15-footer, such a sweet, soft touch. We talk about it often, that high release that Coach Barnes has taught his big man so well.
Tennessee has outscored Vandy 25-9 this half. Magnon finds Robbins and stepped into Vescovy. Draws the foul. It's a third on Santiago Vescovy, and Vandy's big will be at the free throw line. But how about Tennessee's big? Olivier Kamwa, fun name.
Yeah, 15 of 15 in SEC play coming into this one. He's missed a few, but that one, nothing but nylon.
Taking back to Vandy's last win against Tennessee, February 2017. Bryce Drew and Luke Cornett on the Vandy side. Cornett ended up with 13 and 7. And a young Grant Williams. Luke Cornett said, no, I got the school record for blocks. You might shoot him at the next level, but not here, fella. And Roberson with the flush. Vandy's third consecutive win in Knoxville. Tennessee has won the 10 meetings since. How about this little nugget of trivia? Luke Cornett is still the NCAA all-time leader for made threes by a 7-footer.
Is that right? Nice nugget. I remember him getting a triple-double with double-digit points, rebounds, and blocks. That was a squad right there. Jeff Roberson, a guy that could kind of do it all at the 3 or 4 position. And in this, during the Stackhouse era, they've been competitive with Tennessee, just unable to get over the hump. See if they don't have a final push here in the final 7 minutes.
Grant Williams would rebound to have a couple of really good games against Vandy, huh?
Yeah, got to the free throw line quite a bit against Bryce Drew's squad down in Nashville.
Robbins has 15 now. It's a 12-point Tennessee lead. How did the Vandy fans treat you, Dane Bradshaw, playing in his rivalry?
You know, I heard a lot of chants across the SEC. The most unique one I ever heard probably would have been at Memorial, where they chanted, "Dane has crabs." So, you know, just your average day on the road with STDs and such. Is this where you do a segue?
No, my favorite part was the rhythm. Dun, 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 dun. That's the only part I'm going to comment on. Tennessee leads by 12. Some folks.
Medical information should not be shared.
Some folks sitting near a broadcast.
I don't know how they got it.
Location, very curious.
Who would leak something like that to a student section?
You know, I called one of your games back in your college days. I would have had that kind of information. Would have
That's right.
made the broadcast too.
I know you would have gone on the air with it. No, the
Pat
SEC
Ziegler
could be
hustling
fun.
to get back in.
Vanderbilt has Kentucky coming to Memorial soon. They're going to need a packed house for that one, and quite the question marks in that game. Not so much on the Vanderbilt side.
Kentucky's decades of excellence gives them, I think, the right to be a headliner in many ways because there's so many interested in what that program does. But you made a great point. Congrats to Lamont Paris. Huge win for South Carolina on the road. Did it without their star player, by the way. Here's Robbins inside.
And quickly on Kentucky, the challenge, too, for them is nobody in the SEC is feeling sorry for them. When they come here to Knoxville this Saturday, it's going to be sold out. They don't care if Kentucky's down. They're going to still be every team Super Bowl and sell out.
Good finish by Julian Phillips. 6'8" freshman doing a good job getting to the rim. You'll be at the Kentucky-Tennessee game, huh?
Yeah, Chris Lofton getting his jersey retired. So, what an honor that is.
Right with the left-handed scoop.
Good move by Wright there on Phillips.
10-point Tennessee lead. Kamwa challenge two. Wow.
And that's the challenge when you try to spread out with shooters and be a little small with Studi at the 4. Kamwa can rise up on him at any time.
Vandy's made its last 3.
I credit Stackhouse. That was a great play. They did a little crackback screen from Robbins to get a shooter open, unable to connect.
Vescovi for 3. Got it! Santiago Vescovi makes almost 3 threes a game. He's trying to catch up with your buddy Lofton in terms of threes made per game. That is a heady goal for Santiago Vescovi, but he is a weapon, and Tennessee has now made 5 straight and leads by 15.
If you're guarding Vescovi, you cannot become detached. And keep an eye on his defender. He goes under the screen. That is not how you guard a top shooter in the SEC. And Vescovi said, you better put some respect on my name. Trey ball.
And so we're talking about great three-point shooters in Tennessee history. Chris Lofton will be in the building this weekend for the Kentucky game. Allen Houston second in Tennessee history in threes made per game. And Vescovi right there, 2.4 made a game. I want to give you a chance to talk about your teammate Chris Lofton. We all know what made him special off the floor, but let's just talk about from a hoop standpoint. What made him such an elite scorer?
His work ethic. Yes, he could put the ball in the hole, but I got to witness how hard that guy worked. I never had a teammate push me more to try to be the hardest worker on the team. I'd arrive early for practice thinking I was ahead of everybody. I'd hear that ball bouncing. I didn't have to turn the corner. I knew exactly who was in there, and it would tick me off. I knew I'd have to try to stay late to keep up. But let me tell you something. When Chris Lofton arrived on campus, he was thinking about staying home at a D3 school in Kentucky before we offered him late at Tennessee. And he did not impress early. He was slow. He did drills the wrong way. He was uncoordinated, couldn't even do the layups the right way. And he just kept working. But once he got comfortable, and I told a reporter earlier today, they said, when did you know he was like legit? And it was actually a blowout loss in the Maui Invitational to North Carolina, who would eventually become the national champs, where in the second half he just said, forget the upperclassmen, everybody else, and nobody else wants to go hard against these guys, I will. And it didn't matter if it was Raymond Felton on them, Rashad McCants, he gave everybody buckets. And the rest is history.
Made 7 threes in Rupp against his home state team product at Maysville, Kentucky, finished with 31. And a Tennessee win on the road against the Cats. Picks up the miss and draws the 3rd personal on Liam Robbins here with 4:29 to play.
Plavsic now with, I believe that's his 5th offensive rebound. And the first shot defense at times from Vanderbilt has not been bad, but Plavsic just buries the defender down low and creates these extra rebounds opportunities. And that's where his huge body, he might not be the most skilled where Kamwa can be on the perimeter and the mid-range, but that is where he can absolutely have a huge impact on the game.
Hasn't been a great free throw shooter over the course of this season. Knocks them both down there. Came in at just 38% from the free throw line, but he is a perfect 3 for 3 tonight. Tennessee had a 7-0 run over the last minute plus. Set through right. Ball came right to him, and he finishes it up. You mentioned Tennessee getting Kentucky in the building this weekend. A couple of big ones coming to Memorial coming up for Vandy. They got Arkansas and Alabama coming to town. 2 teams that will meet up tomorrow night in Fayetteville on ESPN2.
And they're a well-coached team, well-prepared. And as Coach Stackhouse says, look, we have enough to win. He never questions the talent on his team. However, everybody knows the margin for error for them is less than other teams because there are some great talented ball clubs in the SEC. And if they want to pull off some upsets, they got to play nearly perfect.
Vescovy, a bit of a fade on that one. He's got 15 after a quiet first half.
Yeah, just too much room. He's curling off that screen hard, and the defender's trailing way too much.
We'll get Ziegler for the foul, and it's his fourth. 73-56. Story time, late night with Dane Bradshaw continues from Knoxville after this. And we're back. 73-56. Tennessee leads Vanderbilt. Well, Tennessee has had balanced scoring over the course of the night, and just as they have all season long.
20 assists on 27 made baskets. They share the ball extremely well, even on some of those ISOs. Just coming off the catch, they cut, they move, they pass. And as Rick Barnes says, don't let the ball stick. When you get that ball in your hands, pass, shoot, dribble within a second or less, and you see how crisp their offense is. Ironically, it's their offense that usually is the one that can disappear at times. Tonight in the first half, it was their defense, but here in the second half, we've seen the complementary basketball that has them dominating SEC play right now against the likes of Mississippi State, South Carolina, and right now Vanderbilt.
You know, we talk a lot about Rick Barnes' staff, and he's got a great one, but he inherited a trainer who's been here a long time in Chad Newman, who was a trainer when you were here, and his athletic trainers have taken the forefront for a lot of great reasons as of late. And the story on Monday Night Football that we saw last week, Chad Newman is a guy that has lived that himself. And to the free throw line goes Ezra Magnon.
Yeah, with the DeMar Hamlin story being top of mind, Chad Newman was a hero in a similar vein with a player, Emmanuel Nagadu, who was a terrific player for Tennessee. They had just finished workouts. He was sprinting on the practice field with teammate Bobby Mays, and they rushed to Chad Newman and said, hey, E-Man's down. He's like, what do you mean down? He sprints out there, performs CPR, and they come out with a defibrillator and save Emmanuel Nagadu's life. Chad Newman awarded National Trainer of the Year for saving his life. And it's one thing to train for it, it's another thing to be there in the moment, in the action. And he stepped up big time. They tell that story in their CPR training, and he says exactly and describes the events as tough as they are to relive. It helps others be ready for the moment.
We're going to count that one on a goaltending call, and we'll give the bucket to Tyron Lawrence. It's a 15-point Tennessee lead after the Julian Phillips dunk on the other end. Amazing story and powerful moment, and I think what's most amazing about it is no one will forget what happened in Cincinnati on a Monday night in sports history, but how often that happens at lower levels and when cameras aren't rolling and when it's not a nationally televised game with 20 million people watching, and it can happen anywhere. Jordan Wright with the breakaway dunk, and so thanks to the athletic trainers everywhere, not just for the hard work they do every day, but literally saving lives.
And peace of mind knowing they are available if something does happen.
Ziegler has that one turned the other way by Robbins, who has not had as big an impact on the defensive end tonight as Norman. Lawrence gets through and reverses it in. They'll count it. And Tyron Lawrence will go to the free throw line. Remember, Vandy put together a 17-3 run late in the Missouri game to make it tight, and now they have a chance to cut it to 10.
Ziegler's thinking, where the heck did Robbins come from? And that leads to this transition opportunity. Lawrence loves to get to that left hand, gets the and one. But on the other end, Ziegler split right down the middle, thought he had the easiest two of the night, and then Robbins really quick off the ground.
Lawrence nets the free throw. Vandy on a 7-0 run in 39 seconds. You mentioned having multiple point guards on the floor. Key, Ziegler, Vescovy to an extent.
Yep.
Great ball handlers, great free throw shooters. Kama created space with Robbins but couldn't finish. Vandy on a 7-0 run, trying to add to it. Magnon into the paint, got a ball fake. Oh, he just missed the 4-footer.
Vanderbilt's inability to make timely baskets has really prevented them from being able to get themselves in the win column on the road and several other times this season.
Vandy hasn't won a road game against a top 25 team since 2017 in Gainesville. Magnon with the foul, and that'll put Zakai Ziegler at the free throw line. Ezra Magnon, 1,000-point scorer at UC Davis, 5th leading scorer in school history. Started every game in 3 years, graduated, got accepted into Vanderbilt, was on his way in, and said, oh yeah, by the way, I can play a little bit.
He's been a really strong player for Vanderbilt, knows who he is. You know, he's not a deep threat, but he doesn't try to be a player that he's not. So oftentimes guys try to prove that they can do this or that to impress scouts. Magnon just says, look, I know who I am. I'm going to try to get to the rack and be a floor general.
Ziegler splashes them both down. He's an 80% free throw shooter on the season, 90% in SEC play.
And that's another underestimated quality of all these point guards. Now you have Josiah Jordan-James who can play that role too. But when teams are fouling late, you're not just searching for one guy to get the ball to. You got essentially 80% or better of the options on the court that can make those free throws.
Robbins, and James fouls him from behind. That'll put Liam Robbins back at the free throw line. Liam Robbins made a living at the free throw line in the first half. He is 9 of 10 from the charity stripe overall tonight. He was 6 for 6 at the line against Mizzou. And one more coming. 1:36 left in regulation here in Knoxville. An 18-point night, 5 better than his average. Full court pressure. Oh, carry almost. Josiah Jordan-James tipped away. 4 seconds left in the shot clock. Late night here in Knoxville. Almost time for your late local news. Just past your bedtime?
Yeah, it is. I've been having the Starbucks coffee that you finally bought for once. I appreciate that. You see,
I only did it to get the stars.
Some of these substitutions. When Tennessee won at Ole Miss, they were doing offense for defense, and Coach Barnes was really frustrated about that. He said, look, I should be able to have 5 guys on the court that can execute on both ends at a high level.
Yeah, he told his guys, you should be embarrassed if you have to get out, be taken out of the game for defensive reasons. Shot clock violation, 1:06 to play. Barnes is tough on his guys. He spares no rod, right? I mean, he comes right after him. If you make a mistake, he's going to hold you accountable. He was telling us a story during shoot around that he doesn't watch as many college basketball games as he used to because he's too busy watching game film. And he said, we had a practice one time and everybody's feeling good, and the assistant's like, man, that was a great practice. And his response was, have you seen the film? And the next day dissected the film and everybody involved in it. And all the way down, I think what surprised me was the minutia of your footwork in one particular defensive drill.
Yeah, he wants these guys squared up. It's interesting that they'll mention their closeouts, whether the opponent's going left or right, or if you want to play them straight up. Called it a bear closeout, a bear hug closeout. I'd never heard that before. And I said, what does that mean? He says, you close out with your arms out wide and play them straight up. You're not forcing them right or left or giving them any angles.
So you kind of like you go to Cades Cove and you get out of the car and you see one that's bigger than you expected.
Put your
hands straight up. Big.
Yeah, get big.
Want to go to Cades Cove tomorrow?
No, I'm not with you. I don't trust you and I just getting big.
All right, I'll be at Dollywood then. Dolly's expanding a reading program in the entire state of California. You know that?
Dollywood's the greatest. Dolly Parton, of course. Yeah, I'm sorry. In my mind, I was trying to think of every ride that I love going up there. That's better than Disney World.
You know the company you work for, right?
Maybe not. Yeah. Just kidding. I'm just trying to get some love to East Tennessee, you know.
Tennessee will wrap up its 14th win of the season, its 25th consecutive win at home, its 11th straight against Vanderbilt. 7-0 run to start the game, 9-0 run to start the second half, and never look back. Rick Barnes' team not as dominating defensively in the first half, but in the second half they hold Vandy to 33% shooting and 1 of 14 from deep.
Yeah, past couple games they played a complete 40 minutes. In this one they didn't, but come out victorious anyway, given the depth and multiple options they have, and they continue to shoot the ball extremely well.
77-68. Tennessee gets a wounded Kentucky team next. It's a noon tip on ESPN on Saturday. Kentucky will come in after losing its first at home against South Carolina in its last 8 tries. And they lost as heavy favorites in that one tonight at Rupp. Tennessee's defense held Vanderbilt without a bucket over the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds. A great job by Tennessee's D tonight. For more on that, let's get you on the court. Here's Alyssa with Santiago Vescovi.
Santi, down the stretch, they challenged you guys. What did Coach say to y'all at halftime to make the adjustments for what y'all did in the second half?
We trust in ourselves. We know what we do every single day, working, getting in the gym here. We work as hard as we can every single day. So we knew we weren't really on point in the first half. We just had to adjust in a couple things that we had to do. And I think we did it in the second half. Give a lot of credit to them. They have a great team. They did a great job during the whole game. It was a tough game, but we adjusted what we had to in the second half, and I think that's what got us the win.
What were they doing offensively that gave you guys so much trouble defensively early on?
Like I said, they're a great team. They run really good offense, really well coached. And I think they run a lot of hammer stuff, different stuff, coming up, pin downs and stuff. And I think in the second half, we figured out what they were doing, and we adjusted to it. So I think that's what we did.
There's so much player coaching between you and the other veterans in every single timeout, every single huddle. What does that do for the rest of your team?
I think it gives us real advantage. Like we talked about before, even the game, we have a lot of experienced players, people that have been around for a lot of games. We play together for a minute now, and I think the older guys talking through experience to the younger guys on what it takes to win a game here, which is not easy in the SEC. I think that's the best thing we can do, and then give a lot of credit to our young people, the newcomers, transfers or freshmen. They're doing a great job listening to us, and we'll listen to them as well. They always got stuff to teach us too. So I think the whole team is in a position where we all listen to each other and we try to get better every time. So,
Santi, congrats.
Well, thank you very much.
Hey, he's got a great point, Alyssa. Kind of like the three of us listening to each other and trying to get better as we go along.
What's that?
Studio guys could learn something from us.
I wasn't paying attention.
You'll listen when the bell comes at Toddy's later tonight. There's no question about that. Rick Barnes and his Tennessee team with their 25th consecutive win here at home, their 5th straight win overall, a top 5 team that has championship goals, takes care of their rivals from Nashville. For Dane Bradshaw, Alyssa Ling, our fantastic crew, I'm Tom Hart. So long from Rocky Top.
Monster night of hoops in the SEC, including an upset that's been 2 decades in the making. We got highlights of that and several great matchups.